This is the ocean issue. 10 million tons of plastic every year. Humans are the biggest problem here. Fish are dying by the second. We need an action plan to prevent it. If you disagree, then look at the statistics. Look at the graphs, look at the numbers yelling in your face. But you still believe it's just a phase. And we're gonna outgrow, shine through with no work. Help us save the planet. Help us save the animals. Help us save everything we know is good for us. Help us save the animals, clean the ocean. Help us save the animals, clean the ocean. 10 million tons of plastic, malnourished animals all over the place. Greta Thunberg, our hero. Follow this person on a journey through the ocean. Saving the planet, she is using her OCD to solve this problem. So join us on our journey through the ocean cleanup. Her OCD will not let her quit, so continue on our action plan, on our ocean cleanup, on our ocean cleanup, on our ocean cleanup, on our ocean cleanup. Yeah, ocean cleanup. Malnourished animals, we need to stop this crisis. 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 Can't believe my sadness. Ocean needs us now. The ocean needs us now more than ever. We started this problem, we need to finish it. Let's throw away plastic we thought were so genius those times ago. Now is our biggest problem. Now is what we need to prevent. Help us prevent it too.
We're so happy that you're joining us today, and we can't wait for students to continue to show their amazing leadership skills and continue to show us and guide us for their vision of what it's going to be to support our environment, protect our environment, and also continue to transform our community and, of course, the world. I'd like to take a moment to introduce Kanyon Coyote woman Sayers-Roods from the Indian Kanyon Nation, who is going to be leading us with a land acknowledgement. I'd like to turn it over to Kanyon Coyote woman Sayers-Roods.
Mishmin Tuhis, Connercott Kanyon Coyote woman Sayers-Roods. I come from Indian Kanyon Nation, daughter of tribal chairwoman Anne Marie Sayers. And Indian Kanyon is about 15 miles south of Hollister, and that is within the Mutsun-Ohlone linguistic territory. I come from the Mutsun-Ohlone territory, and if we were gathered in person, I would have us all say the word awaswas. So I invite you to say this word, awaswas. This is the first language of this territory, the first language of these lands, and it's so very important that we acknowledge these spaces and places that we travel through, that we live in, that we have settled upon in today's post-colonial settler environment. I come from a matrilineal society, and my mother and my grandmother believe that when song, ceremony, and dancing stops, so does the earth. I too believe that. So I want to offer a coyote song. This is a coyote song that came to me when I was taking steps to reconnecting to my language. And the Mutsun dialect is one of 8 different languages of the Bay Area. And so this is a song. I'm using my regalia, my necklace, my medicine as an instrument because Native peoples, we don't wear costumes. So this is a little coyote song. Kanwas mahetse wakshishe. Kanwas mahetse wakshishe. Wakaniskuan. Ara kanwaskuan. Wakaniskuan. Ara kanwaskuan. Sawe, 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 sawe. Kanwas mahetse wakshishe. Kan was mahetse wakishe. Wakaniskuan. Ara kan waskuan. Wakaniskuan. Ara kan waskuan. Sawe, 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 sawe. Oh, no son. In breath, so it is in spirit. And I invite you all, instead of clapping, y'all can say, oh, in 3, 2, 1, oh.
Oh.
Thank you so much for honoring native land.
Thank you, Kanyon. Hi, my name is Carolyn, and I've been a member of YEA since its founding. We wanted to give you the why behind our summit before you experience the majority of our content. Our goal is for you participants to leave with a greater understanding of the impacts climate change has and will have on our local communities, and build a heightened sense of connectivity within the county. We are committed to doing this by highlighting the voices and work of those participating in environmental justice/activism with the interconnected purpose of uplifting and empowering Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and other people of color, members of the LGBTQIA+ community, women, and youth. We hope you participants feel motivated to use that understanding and the collective power gained from listening to one another to drive forward meaningful and equitable environmental action. Our leadership team selected the theme Solidarity for Change because we believe, as Ban Ki-moon stated, solutions to one problem must be solutions for all. Social inequalities and inequities have an intrinsic connection to the disproportionate effects of climate change on various communities. This truth makes intersectionality and building collective power against injustice integral in the process of change towards a more sustainable future. Each aspect of the summit was planned with the intention of building solidarity towards means of environmental action. I will now be handing things off to Phoenix.
Thank you, Caroline. Hi, my name is Phoenix, and I am one of the original members of YEA also. So YEA stands for Youth for Environmental Action. And YEA brings together 2 student representatives from every public school in the county, plus support teams. We try to get interested students to join so they can be part of the changing for the environment and for the people who live here. I joined the organization last year after hearing about it while attending a Green Schools meeting, and I wanted to become more involved in my community while also helping the environment. Through this program, we have started many projects throughout the county, and we also connect with students through our Instagram and YouTube channels, which you are welcome to follow if you'd like. At each meeting, we always start by saying a poem or telling a short story. So today we'll do something just like that. I will now pass it over to Nathan. And yeah, take it away, Nathan.
Yeah, hey everybody. So we usually open up with a poem or some sort of excerpt that sets a sort of attitude or perspective of gratitude. And Kanyon did a really good job, really beautiful job of doing that with the land acknowledgement. So I'm going to piggyback off of that with an excerpt from Chief Seattle's letter to all after Franklin Pierce proposed a purchase of some of the lands that they lived on in northeastern United States. Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every meadow, every humming insect are all holy in the memory and experience of my people. We know the sap which courses through the trees as we know the blood that courses through our veins. We are part of the earth and it is part of us. The perfumed flowers are our sisters. The bear, the deer, the great eagle, these are our brothers. The rocky crests, the dew in the meadow, the body heat of the pony and man all belong to the same family. The shining water that moves in the streams and rivers is not just water, but the blood of our ancestors. If we sell you our land, you must remember that it is sacred. Each glossy reflection in the clear waters of the lakes tells of events and memories in the lives of my people. The water's murmur is the voice of my father's father. The rivers are our brothers. They quench our thirst. They carry our canoes and feed our children. So you must give the rivers the kindness that you would give any brother. If we sell you our land, remember that the air is precious to us, that the air shares its spirit with all the life that it supports. The wind that gave our grandfather his first breath also received his last sigh. The wind also gives our children the spirit of life. So if we sell our land, you must keep it apart and sacred, as a place where man can go to taste the wind that is sweetened by the meadow flowers. Will you teach your children what we have taught our children, that the earth is our mother? What befalls the earth befalls all the sons of earth. This we know, the earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected, like the blood that unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to that web, he does unto himself. Yeah, this really resonated with me, and I hope when we get to our breakout rooms, we'll be able to talk about it a little bit.
My name is Leilani. I'm also a founding member of the Youth for Environmental Action. So first, we're gonna have a little video, but before that, we're gonna go over how to get into the Kahoot for later. Now we can go on to our Meet YEA video.
My name is Natalie. I joined because I wanted to be able to make change. It's more like a moment that I experienced, not last summer, but the summer before that. I went camping at Don Pedro Lake, and I noticed that the lake had shrunk, like it was shrinking progressively, and it just, I don't know, it made me sad. It's not just happening there, that there's changes like that are happening everywhere. And what I get from my word that I choose is community.
I'm Vicente. I joined because I'm passionate about conserving and protecting our environment. One thing I get from being part of is experience.
My name is Leilani, and I joined because I was looking for a group of like-minded individuals looking for a better future. And something that I get from is inspiration.
My name is Madeline, and I joined because I feel like it's my responsibility to help the environment. And when I found out what was, I was like, yep, that's how I'm gonna help out. And one word to describe and what I got out of it is gratitude.
I wanted to join because I want to be a marine biologist. I've probably said this a bunch before, and the reason I want to become a marine biologist is because I took this marine biology course my sophomore year, and it really impacted me, and I really wanted to take part in protecting our environment and being an advocate for all kinds of marine organisms and all that. And then I stumbled upon I was like, oh, let's go, let's do this. I'm excited. And one word that I can describe is also experience.
I joined because I wanted to find a group of kids my age that have like the same level of passion for the environment as me. And what I get from is I get really excited.
My name is Nathan, and I joined because I am very interested in environmental policy, and this is a great pathway into that, a great source of basic information and experience for that. And what I get from is collaboration.
Hi, my name is Sabine, and I joined YEA to be able to connect with peers that are passionate about the same thing that I am, because I think that makes like a united force is so much stronger, and it seemed like we could make a real change. YEA, or how it makes you feel. And I'd probably say like fulfilled.
My name is Jesus. I joined because I wanted more practice on being a leader. And what I get from is more education.
I took a part of because I wanted to be more involved in the climate justice scene. One word that reminds me of is opportunity.
My name is Carolyn. I joined YEA because I wanted to hold those in power accountable for factoring in the environment and sustainability when they're making decisions that determine our futures. And one word to describe YEA is unity.
To be part of a community who shares the same passion for environmental change as I do. And something that I get out of and this group is motivation.
I joined YEA because I wanted to benefit my community and help with environmental issues and kind of put the word out there. And one word that I would use to describe it would be a community.
I joined because I believe that we can come together and find the solutions to save the earth. And one thing gives me is a sense of purpose.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I joined YA because I want to live in a better environment for me and for future generations. What I get from YA is motivation.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I joined because I want to bring awareness about environmental issues to my community. And something I gained from this environmental action group is knowledge.
My name is Marlize, and I joined Youth for Environmental Action because I wanted to take leadership roles here in my county. One word that best describes Youth for Environmental Action is hopeful.
All right, so now that you guys got to know us a little bit better, we want to get to know you a little bit better. So what's your why? Like, why did you come and why are you involved in, or why are you passionate in the environmental movement? So you can put your answer in the chat. Awesome, I see like communication and caring about health and combating environmental racism. That's a huge one. Yeah. A lot of connection, a lot of future, which is like really similar to what we said in the video. So it's important to see that, like, you know, we're all here for a lot of the same reasons, and hopefully those connections will keep us going. So next, while those keep coming in, I think that we're going to launch a Zoom poll that have some multiple choice answers on our passions and a little bit more of why we're here. So the first one is, how concerned are you about air pollution on a scale of 1 to 5? 1 being not concerned at all, and 5 being extremely concerned. 2 is, how concerned are you about extinction of endangered species on a scale of 1 to 5? 3 is, how concerned are you about ocean acidification / pollution on a scale of 1 to 5? 4 is, are you willing to change your lifestyle to reduce your damage to the environment? 5 is, when people get involved in trying to solve environmental problems, how often do they make things better? And 6 is, how much power do you think that you have in making positive environmental change? We'll just give that a couple more seconds, I think, while we all sit here in awkward silence. Exactly, Kanyon. Crickets.
It's all good. We're all answering.
All right, perfect. Okay, here are the answers. So it seems like many of us are extremely concerned, or a 4, and same thing for the first one and the second one and the third one. And it seems like we're all pretty willing to change our lifestyle. And so those are all really exciting and encouraging answers, because this is a pretty big group of people. So, you know, what could we do as a group to fix those problems? There's some food for thought, am I right? And then, how much positive change do you think you have? How much power do you think you have in making positive environmental change? Most people said some, and that's disheartening, because I think that as individuals, we can do a lot more than we think we can.
Okay, so Emily and I created a Kahoot, and Sophia will share her screen, and you guys already have the code, so we'll wait a minute until more people join.
What's the best way to recycle water bottles? Reuse disposable water bottles, send them to your local recycling center, put them in compost, or all of the above. Okay, you can get to the next one. Cows release greenhouse methane that is bad for the atmosphere. True or false? Okay, you can go next. What is the cause of over 1 million marine animal deaths? Oil spills, factory pollution, plastic debris, or random unexplained marine deaths? Wow, that was a lot right. 75% of flowering plants need this to survive. Now remember, it says 75%, so don't get tricked. Okay, next. Multi-select. Which of the following is a way to care for our environment? Hint: more than one right answer. Reduce, reuse, and recycle, conserve water, turn off lights when not in use, plant more vegetation. Okay, next. I think this is the last one. Which is one way to educate your peers about the environment? Yell at them for throwing trash on the floor, rudely tell them they're making climate change worse, give them a dirty look, or educate them and invite them to join YA meetings. Yay, everyone got this one right. And third place, Natalie. Second place, Nieves. First place, SK.
Thank you for joining us. You're going to hear some presenters with different backgrounds, and we want you guys to listen to their experience, their stories, and why they're here. We have 4. Azucena is our student leader presenter. We have Claudia, we have Vivian, and we have Kanyon. So, yeah. Claudia, would you want to start? Give a little introduction, and then we can go with the questions.
Sure, I'm happy to start. Hi, everyone. Hola. My name is Claudia. I work at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I am the sustainability manager, and basically all of the great things that YEA has been talking about. You can imagine the work that you do at home and in your community to reduce waste and to conserve water and energy. That's basically what I do for the aquarium. So just imagine the aquarium is a giant house, and I kind of go around telling people to conserve resources. And I work really closely with our ocean policy team, as well as our communications team, to develop content or stories about conservation and sustainability, so that we can ensure that it is written in a more equitable lens. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Claudia. We have a few questions, our most popular questions. Many of us are interested in doing environmental work, especially marine biology. One of the most popular questions is, what do you do your job that you enjoy the most? There's like, this is my purpose. This is what makes me wake up and do this job. And not like a job, like your career, or why you're so passionate about what you do.
That's a great question. And, I did not think that this is what I was going to be doing for my job. I actually studied marine and coastal ecology. I went to CSUMB, and I thought I was going to be a scientist in the tide pools, doing a lot of research. And then I had an opportunity to work with the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. So that's the government agency that protects the waters from San Francisco all the way to Cambria and San Luis Obispo. And education is something that I really loved. I loved talking to people about the things that they can do to protect the ocean and the environment. And I did that for a long time. And I really liked talking to people, and I liked storytelling and interpreting. And that really changed the way that I was living my life. And if I was saying, hey, here's something that you can do to protect the environment, but I wasn't doing that, then I felt really hypocritical. So it took that kind of eye-opening moment to realize that I needed to be doing more in my personal life, to protect the ocean, to protect the environment, and to think about my place in it, and how I'm just one tiny drop that is part of a bigger ocean. And so when I had an opportunity to move into sustainability and conservation, that's really where I found my spark or my passion, and that's what keeps me going, and makes me excited every day to continue the work.
I like how you mentioned about you have a passion for educating. Who do you think is your audience as in right now? Like, who are you educating? And then who would you want to educate more? Because education is a privilege, and only certain people are educated. So if you can explain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a fantastic point, that education is a privilege. And I recognize that that's a privilege that I have. And I recognize that that's a privilege that the folks who are here have, right? Because you have that access to technology, you have that access to time to be able to set aside whatever it is that you're doing to participate today. So who I think I'm educating today is really a very broad audience, from people who are kind of already there working and championing for a lot of this change, and championing for sustainability and conservation and equity and environmental justice. But I also think that there are people who are looking to find additional perspectives and lived experiences. So I'm beyond grateful for the opportunity to be here, so that we can all come from a collective point where we can advance this work together to create a more equitable and sustainable society.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Kanyon. If you can give a little short introduction, what you do, what you represent, your story, the floor is yours.
Mishmin Tuhis, Conrakat Canyon, Coyote Woman, daughter of Tribal Chairwoman Anne-Marie Sayers, CEO of Canyon Consulting LLC, whose goal is to bridge the gap between Indigenous and contemporary value systems. Pretty much the official working arm of doing the things I've always been doing, just meeting the criterion of this capitalistic, materialistic, disposable society model. That being said, I am an active educator in our community to raise awareness around honoring truth and history. That brings me to acknowledge the many privileges I've had growing up, being raised on the land of my ancestors, having access to different Indigenous peoples and cultures and ceremonies that have afforded me opportunities of recognizing that there are many truths and many pedagogies out there in the world that are not of a capitalistic, economically driven society model, and where a singular truth is not the only truth. So the work I do takes me many places. I have been afforded many opportunities to speak in front of many people. My voice, I get tokenized a lot because I'm a California native and I'm very rare. And I choose to put myself in those spiritually uncomfortable positions of being tokenized because I have a nice voice. And then I voice to them why tokenizing natives is not all that great. So it's kind of a fun in between. My native name is Coyote Woman, and I own up to being a trickster. So you can probably learn more by going to my website, Canyon Consulting, and more educational materials there.
Thank you. Do you think you can put your website on the chat for many of us who are interested, who want to be educated, and go on there? Yes. So we have some questions for you. What specific struggles/barriers have you faced as an Indigenous person in the environmental movement? Because historically, the environmental movement has sadly ignored Indigenous voices, communities of color. It's always the dominant figure, as in for many movements. So can you talk about that?
Well, I literally just made a TikTok last night at midnight, very sad, because I went outside and I noticed that the birds were singing at night. And it broke my heart because it makes me aware that our noise pollution is so problematic that the birds are shifting their behaviors just so they can engage in their living system, their pattern of life, to be able to sing to each other, to be able to find a partner, to be able to just exist. And there are times that I feel like the equivalent of the crazy tinfoil hat person that everybody's looking at in a strange way, because I sit here and say, these are foreign governing structures, these are foreign societal models of how we should navigate the world. Our industrialized model is not efficient, is not sustainable, and is problematic because it does not account for sacred living systems. It does not engage in honoring the rights of nature. It does not hold itself accountable to its sacred obligation. My ancestors and my elders have always taught me that when well, we acknowledge that the animals and the plants, they came first. They're the first people. Humans came last, to be given the responsibility to be good stewards of these lands. So I was kind of like, almost sad about the human interaction question, because humans do impact their world around them, and Indigenous peoples have been stewarding the land. This whole idea of putting a fence around it and conserving it is BS. The whole only you can prevent forest fires, Smokey the Bear, be scared of fire, really irks me and is problematic. Having a foreign government try and say you need to follow the criterion of seeking federal recognition because we are the government that governs everything. It's like, wait, so I have to work my tail off to prove who I am, to validate that I'm of a sovereign nation, to a foreign government structure that invaded and took over? I have to obey those rules to validate my sovereignty. That's weird. And so all of these things are very frustrating, that, you know, capitalism and profit-driven entities and like the economy is prioritized over living systems. Like these plants right behind me, mountain lettuce, indigenous lettuce, Indian lettuce, forget the term miners lettuce, because miners colonized indigenous peoples. They took the knowledge, native peoples showed them what was edible. Many Spaniards even suffered from scurvy. But my mother, before I was double digits, when I was an adolescent child, she said, go harvest it the right way. The right way implies ethical and sustainable harvesting methods, of which I am accountable to these living systems. Honor the life that's lived and the gift that's given, to make sure you don't take the first sprouts that are blooming or the last ones, to engage respectfully, to take no more than what you need. Respect these living systems. And I was barely 5. But I didn't know what the word ethical and sustainable meant. But the teachings of my family instilled that value system that has been with me my entire life. So it's everything. Everything's related. Everything drives me crazy. So I feel like a crazy person. But I inspire people, so at least I know I'm not alone in that craziness. So, yeah.
No. Yeah. You talking is just what I tell a lot of people, just taking up that space and using your voice and just complaining, venting, ranting, go ahead, talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, no one else is going to talk about it. And I love how you just really, like, I had these questions for you, but you just answered all in one. You just took everything and made it set. Nice skills. Those are good skills. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, next presenter, Vivian, if you would like to give introduction, story, experience, what made you be what you're doing now, and we'll do some questions. So the floor is yours, Vivian.
Happy to, and thanks everyone for having me. My name is Vivian Underhill. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a Ph.D. candidate in Feminist Studies at UC Santa Cruz, located on the unceded lands of the UP tribe of the Awaswa-speaking peoples, currently represented by the Amamutsun tribal band. My research focuses on environmental justice organizing around Bakersfield, California, in collaboration with environmental justice activists there. And though I'm in a feminist studies department, my background is actually in hydrology and the hard sciences. So I studied environmental science at the University of Colorado, which is where I'm from. And then I worked as a field hydrologist with the US Geological Survey for 4 years. But as I was working in the sciences, it became more and more important to me to connect our understanding of scientific work to the social justice issues that surround environmental issues, because so often that doesn't happen. So now I use feminist studies and critical race studies to deepen our understandings of groundwater contamination from California's oil industry and agricultural industry. And I feel lucky that kind of on the day-to-day, my job is to research, teach, and also learn about environmental justice issues.
Thank you. One question. Can you explain what you believe water justice would be, California or locally, however you want to tackle that question from your perspective of working in this field? So that was one of the most popular questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of different perspectives to what that would look like. But from my perspective, as a researcher, also teaching and learning about this, I think some really concrete necessary parts of it would include making sure there's affordable, clean, and non-contaminated drinking water for everyone across the state. That's not the case right now, and it absolutely should be. Also, at the very least, honoring treaties and the water rights within those treaties negotiated with Indigenous nations and recognizing Indigenous sovereignty in water management, regardless of whether tribes are federally recognized or not. Also, I think it's really important to shift our use of water so that rivers, lakes, and wetlands have enough water in them to support migratory fish, birds, and other species that rely on specific flows of water, because usually that's not prioritized right now, and to put all of that above the needs of the oil industry and the agricultural industry. So those are some really concrete things, but I think to get there actually requires some really major societal shifts, including basically reimagining our agricultural systems altogether and the way that we understand our relationships to water and land. One of the ways that colonial power works is to produce a sense that settler ways of being on land are the only ways to be. And this is something that Indigenous and decolonial scholars have written about a lot and shown for a long time. And so unsettling that sense of permanence is an important first step to show that our current water infrastructure was not inevitable or common sense, even though our settler colonial system likes to make it seem like it is. But actually, like Kanyon just said, it's a system of managing water that is foreign to this land. And so there are a range of other more sustainable and more just and more equitable ways of relating to water. But to get there really requires disinvesting from the versions of the future that racial capitalism and colonialism produce and make seem like the only ways. So, and as we do that, I also think it's important to continue to ask, as we're making decisions, as we're going through processes, how are we making sure to not replicate power structures in those processes themselves? And so one of the things I think is really necessary to define water justice is to really center the wisdom of communities who've been most affected by water injustice. And in California, that's predominantly low-income communities, communities of color, often in the Central Valley where I work, and Indigenous nations. So there's some thoughts on that, but it's a great and big question.
Yeah, it's a broad question, but I think you said a lot. How important is to talk about, you mentioned power structure within environmental discussions, because I feel that power structure and power dynamics does not really get talked about as much as it should. So can you say more about that? Like how important it is to talk about power dynamics and who has the control of what policies get in place and et cetera, and who gets the benefit of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important. And a major way that I see that can happen is like when we think about the difference between environmentalism and environmental justice, for instance, and the way that those things help us think differently about where power is located and what we really need to be doing. I think that one of the big things that impacts how we think about power is to really think about what are the roots of the problems that we're addressing. And so a big part of my academic work is to look at the history that produced landscapes of agriculture and also oil in the Central Valley and ask what are the ways that we got to the scarcity of water that we have today. And a lot of people talk about that problem. There's consistently talk about water crises in California. And it is not only a human-made set of crises, but it's a settler colonial and racial capitalist set of crises that we made. And so when we're thinking about what we need to do to get to something like water justice, it's not enough to think about how to allocate water differently, but it's also really important to think about what are the colonial and racial hierarchies that went into establishing that in the first place. And until we really take that apart and think about it on a daily basis, it's kind of like the water that we swim in. Those dynamics will come into how we work together unless we're being really attentive to how we can address them and work against them intentionally.
Thank you so much for your responses.
Thank you.
Next presenter is Azucena. She was an OG YA member. She's a student from Watsonville High. So, Azucena, you are a leader. Talk about your leadership experiences. Talk about anything. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Azucena. I am a senior at Watsonville High School. I am an art, poet, video editor, and my leadership really took off when I entered So if you're looking into, you know, progressing in whatever your goals are, I would recommend joining a group like During the time that I've been here, I feel that I've gotten to hear the experiences outside of my own, and they have also heard my experiences. And I believe that that has also benefited how this summit came to be and why we are here.
Great. We have a few questions. What can young people do to become more involved locally, to take action?
So to become involved, I feel that you have to start small, either that be with your habits or the way you think, because the whole movement, or in trying to help the planet, it might be overwhelming. And so if you start small, it'll kind of ease you in to your community. And once comfortable with your own self and how you like, or what you know already, you could head into your community and find small groups such as, there's also PV Regeneración, but I'm sure that wherever you live, there will be at least one place or at least one group online that you could join. And from then on, I would recommend you to make connections. The more connections you make, the farther you will reach. So that is what I recommend to young people.
Thank you. For those of you guys that don't know, Azucena has an agricultural background, and there's a question that I really want people to hear you answer is, how has growing up in an agricultural area affected your thoughts and feelings about the environment?
Yes. So my parents have worked as agriculture harvesters here in Watsonville since we came here to Watsonville. And what I've noticed as a daughter of my parents is that over time there has been a drastic, although we haven't, like, a lot of people haven't noticed it, there has been a drastic change of weather that has slowly increased more and more. And recently my mother, returned to work for the season, and one of the worries she had was that the heat was going to hit her the first day. And so it affects both crops and workers. It could be either from the heat or from the cold weather that sometimes comes around. It leads to the spoilage of the actual harvest, and then, everyone loses. And as for myself also, I don't really work where my parents work, but I also like farming and, plants and taking care of them. So to people that have a direct connection or who interact with the land directly, we kind of gain this connection and this relationship with the land, and we treat it as if it were almost a child. So seeing it, all change and become worse, and it's just disheartening to see.
Thank you. So these are all of our presenters, and now we're gonna switch out to breakout rooms, and I'm gonna hand this on to Sabine.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabine, and we are now going to transition into breakout rooms. So a few of the things that we're gonna discuss for the first round would be things like, were there particular aspects of the panel that resonated with you most? Was there something that came up in the discussion that either affirmed or challenged a previous belief you held? Also, how did the panel shape your understanding of what solidarity for change can look like in our local communities? And what inspiration from the panel will you leave this event with? So I will put those questions in the chat, but now I think we're going to transition into those groups. So people have numbers written, but yeah, I think Amity has something to say.
I just want to say that I really resonated with what Kanyon was saying. My house burned down in the fires, and it was very much kind of related to environmental change, because beforehand it was all hot and dry, and then thunderstorms roll in, and things catch on fire. And it's not just that, because my folks no longer own property, and at this point, property here in California is so expensive that we're not even able to stay in the area. We're moving to Illinois so that we can have enough, we can have a place to live, and have enough to sustain ourselves.
Thank you so much for sharing with the group, Isaiah. Yeah, that's a lot. Really glad you're here.
Hello, everyone. I will be filling in for my fellow YEA member, Lena, who unfortunately could not make it today. In Lena's words, I'm going to share a video edited by Azucena, one of our other leadership members, which highlights some amazing student environmental actions being taken here in Santa Cruz County. Hopefully their actions inspire you or give you ideas for environmental actions you yourself can take.
We're having some technical difficulties, Celeste.
Yeah, the video's not loading. If everyone could just give me a minute, I think it's about to play.
My name is Phoenix Rumbaugh, and today I'm going to show you how to start volunteering here in Santa Cruz County. So here is the Environteers website. So it has tons of different selections you can do to volunteer within Santa Cruz County. Here I'll press on oceans, but there's environmental stuff and education that you can do also. I'll scroll down to, how about the Seymour Center, because I volunteer there. Here you go. And this is the website. Here you can find different volunteer opportunities and just learn about the organization. There's other organizations too you can look at. I have volunteered at several programs throughout Santa Cruz, California. Like, this is me volunteering at the Seymour Marine Discovery Center. And here is me working with Native Animal Rescue, saving a bird on the beach. I have also been doing beach cleanups on my own and with friends to create a map of Santa Cruz County's dirtiest beaches so people can volunteer and know which beaches are the ones we need to clean right away. These are opportunities that you are welcome to participate in, but using the resources I've shown you, you can also find your own volunteer opportunities if you would like.
Hi, our names are Emily and Victoria. Currently, we are both juniors attending Sabbah, and we wanted to share the work we have put forth in creating an environmental club at our high school.
Our goals. We wanted to do this because we're aware that our school is relatively small and not as environmentally active. The first step we took was to sign up for YEA. In doing so, we hope to attain leadership position that would allow us to connect with a group of people going through the same struggles at their school.
Next, we reached out to some of our teachers and asked that they support us with the promotional pieces, since recruiting through an online platform is particularly difficult. Finally, we reached out to friends and confirmed that they would sign up to be a part of our support team at the start of next year.
This is just one option for youth to take action. It is a positive impact that will be seen by both peers and administrators.
Hello, my name is Azucena, and I am part of CCLI, which is Climate Corps Leadership. Here at CCLI, we learn to become private leaders in our community. Take part in climate action and want to educate our community
I feel worried about the climate crisis and want to help out as much as we can. Some of the ways the Climate Corps Leadership Institute takes action is by restoring wetland habitats, planting native trees in our school and the city of Watsonville, as well as growing, caring, and planting native plants. Our goals are to add more trees to our school, local parks, and streets around the city of Watsonville, as well as make PV live up to its title of an environmental school.
Our individual actions can add up to be the change that is needed. We can make consumer choices and shop secondhand, vote with your wallet by buying organic and from ethical sources. You can reduce waste by recycling and composting, building a garden that avoids pesticides, walking and riding a bike whenever possible, and electing leaders who will pass progressive legislation for the planet.
One way that you can get involved in activism is by joining Youth for Climate Justice, which is a youth-led environmental activism group in Santa Cruz. This is a picture of a walkout that we helped organize in September, which was part of a mass movement where millions of students walked out around the globe. And while we do believe that individual change is important, we need direct action like this to push for change at a much larger scale. And climate change is really hard to wrap your head around because it's such a big issue. And for a long time, I really struggled with how I could actually help stop climate change. And that's what I love about Youth for Climate Justice. It gave me really concrete ways that I could take action. And while we're not doing walkouts right now, we've shifted our focus to other action-oriented projects like getting free bus passes for students and taking an inventory of local schools' greenhouse gas emissions. Another way that you can get involved in environmental activism is by being a youth representative for the city's climate action plan. And this is a really cool opportunity because it's a chance for you to have your voice heard on what you want our city's future to look like.
In Lena's words, hopefully that video gave you a look into some of the amazing work that students and youth are doing around our county. We are now going to go ahead and head off to breakout rooms and discuss how schools and students can be more connected to environmental solutions, as well as brainstorm ideas on how to take environmental action in our own communities and lives. We'll have a YEA student in each room to facilitate the discussion again. We're also going to provide an exit survey in the chat so that we can get feedback on how the event went in hopes to make even better events in the future and to provide some questions to reflect your experience today.
So my name is Vicente. I am a member of the Youth for Environmental Action program. And right now we're going to do a Zoom poll. It's what will you do to take action? Now you may ask yourself, what can I do? Should I do it? Why should I care? Well, Earth is our home, our only home, in fact. Climate change is a global and very urgent issue. If we don't do something about it, we will face consequences which are way beyond our control. The climate is changing, sea level is rising, temperatures are rising, and now it is time to take action. No matter how big or small, how perfect or imperfect, let's take a change. Think about you, your friends, your family, the animals that suffer because of our actions, your home, and most importantly, the future of the earth.
How are you being a good ancestor in training?
All right, so I see a lot of good responses, multiple choice. I will inform others, right? So sharing is probably one of the most effective ways to combat climate change. What changes will you make in your life that benefits the environment? Avoiding single-use plastic items. Yeah, that is a very big change. Do you plan on reducing your carbon footprint? 98% of you said yes. To the 2%, I hope this summit changes your mind. Do you plan to get involved? Most of you said yes. To the 2%, I hope this summit changes your mind. And remember, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly.
Multifaceted approaches. There is no single one answer. many approaches, many truths, many perspectives.
Now I'll pass it on to Azucena.
I am a poet and artist in youth of Watsonville. Today I will share one of my earliest and first works that I dedicated towards the environment. You could also see it at this exhibit.
Look around. Look around. The concrete buildings with magnificent architecture glisten in the sunny weather. Take in the breeze from the bay, look up and you'll see high waves of buildings that engulf us deeper and deeper into a forest of buildings. Further and further we are swept into a grapevine of roads. Glamour, media, and continuous movement light up the city night like fireflies at dusk. We sit in our concrete buildings surrounded by succulents watching a nature documentary. We forget that we watch a one-shot of what we forgot existed. We forget that the lions roaring on our flat TVs aren't scripted actors. We forget that those same lions sleep when we sleep and eat when we eat. We forget that the world is more than just concrete buildings, media, roads, and city lights. We forget that just like millions of humans are born, butterflies also spread their wings to life. The irony. No matter where we are or where we will end up, we will always be pulled by nature. Nature is us and we are nature. Look around, realize that we can't get away from nature. Look around and you'll see how impossible it is.
The poem was named Look Around. Now I will want to thank all the attendees, members of YAS, speakers, and our amazing mentors that have made this event possible. If you could switch it to the next slide. For acknowledgements, we thank our panelists Azucena, Claudia, Kanyon, and Vivian for their participation in this event and their continual contributions to the environmental justice efforts. We want to thank the COE for their support of our student-led organization and for hosting our summit. We thank the adult volunteers who co-facilitated the breakout rooms. We thank Denise and Celeste for their help with Spanish translation and making this event more accessible. We want to thank Jemma for sharing their music and all the artists who had shared their work. Thank you.